And connecting. Okay. All right. And I'm going to be timing this because I have a habit of kind of going on and on and on sometimes. And I don't need this on now. So, okay. Well, I want to welcome everyone to this webinar tonight that I have entitled, Can You Handle the Truth? And the reason that I have decided to call this what I did is because a lot of people, if you say to someone, you know, can you handle the truth? It's automatically considered a negative. Like, what you trying to say? You know, yeah, I can handle the truth. Well, that's not the side of the truth that I'm talking about. Tonight, I want to talk about what it means when can you handle the truths that equate to what you've already lived, what you're living now, and the truths that will determine what your tomorrows will be. And so that's the side of the truth that I want to talk about, because a lot of people have asked me a lot of things about, well, what is it, Loren? A lot of people have the misconception that the blessings that I've experienced in less than a year now, my very first speaking engagement was August 28th last year. And as of today, I'm at number 98 as far as booked paid speaking gigs. So, you know, I'm really excited about that. But what bothers me the most about it, it really does. I actually, and I mean this, Brian can attest to this. I actually lose sleep over it because I try to get people to see that it's not, I hear so many people say, oh, it's because Loren had this, oh, it's me story. We all do. Marcia, you have one. Andrea, you have one. Anthony, you have one. Everyone that will listen to the replay of this or comes on later during the webinar has some kind of story. And it's not that my story is any different than anyone else's. It's not that it's any more heart-wrenching or, you know, Phoenix from ashes like or esque. What it is what's happening in my life. And that's the purpose of this series of webinars that I am going to do to give people what I could not find when just less than a year ago I was doing this. I was in all of these, you know, all kinds of different books, and I still am. You know, this is my favorite right now. Which way? Okay, Motivation Manifesto. I got this for my birthday, How to Steal the Show. You know, this was my very first book, How to Be a Brilliant Public Speaker. And I still have the one I bought to follow up, The Message of You. And the thing about it is, if you can see, they all have some type of bookmark in them because I haven't finished any of them yet. But you know what? It's because I read them, I absorb them, I pick them up when I need to do some personal development. But inside of a lot of those, there are components, but the real components that have done for me what I believe people look at and go, oh, wow, didn't come from the books. They came from within. They came from summoning the courage to look over my shoulder to the life that I've already lived, whether that's yesterday, the week before, the year before, the decade before, all the way back. So tonight, I just wanted to share with you all some of the things that I know to be true. And when I say that, Andrea, you got this morning in your very first coaching session, whenever I don't take that phrase, I don't turn it lightly. When I say to someone, or even from my stages, I know this to be true, it's something that I have not just kept on my thumb drive. As far as my mindset thumb drive, I have placed it on my mindset hard drive, which means it is the truth. It will never change, and I will never try to change it. So,
Loren,
yes.
Can you mute Andrea on your side?
What's that?
Can you mute Andrea on your side?
I thought I did.
Just no, hers is not.
Oh, Andrea, what are you doing? What'd you hear? Did I miss something good?
No, it's just like
okay. Okay. Okay, I muted Andrea. Thank you, Anthony. Oh, I forgot you're like Anthony has power. He can like cut me off if he wants to. So anyway, getting back to it, let me get my little notes out here. So tonight I wanted to share some things with you that I think a lot of people miss. You know, the thing about this, people think that when you can, you know, you throw those numbers out and, all the great things that come with it and that have come over the last year, there's nothing like the feeling when you meet like-minded people who are doing what you're doing. And I want you to understand this. This is really important to me. I really believe it's happened to a lot of legendary encounters between people. For instance, and I know you're going to go, well, Saturday Night Live. Yeah. 40 some episodes or different casts since the originals. But when you ask someone about Saturday Night Live, if they really loved Saturday Night Live, they're going to go back to those originals. Gilda Radner, Jane Curtin, Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, that Chevy Chase, that kind of thing. And those are people, it was the same thing in Laugh-In. A bunch of people who didn't know each other until they encountered each other on the road to their destinies, on the road to their greatness. And I believe that there are those of us who are influencing and helping influencers to influence. Whatever it is we're doing, we're using our message to help improve the world that we live in. I have a hard time with change the world because we can't change people. They can only change themselves, but we can help improve the ratio of who decides to change and who doesn't. So I say that because a lot of people, I believe there are things that are missing from these books. I believe there are things that are missing from the webinars and from the digital online programs and that sort of thing. And so I wanted to take an opportunity to give back the things that I know came from places that I don't use my eyes to see. So I'll leave it at that. So what I want to say again is welcome to Can You Handle the Truth? I'm Loren Michaels Harris. And so I want to start by asking you, if you were aware, did you know that 3 out of 4 Americans say that there's no such thing as ultimate or absolute truth? I found those numbers quite disturbing. After I was shocked, I was disturbed. Because in a society where ultimate truth is treated like a fairy tale, it's almost like an outdated idea, or sometimes even considered an insult to the human intelligence. Because if someone says to you, oh, you can't handle the truth, it's automatically like a negative thing. What you trying to say? But no, when I say that to people, I mean, can you handle the truth that you've already lived, your truths? Because to handle them means that you're going to be able to do the right things with them. A lot of you have seen that, it's in my memes, and I really am a champion for believing that the truth is the only thing within the universe that never changes. And that's what I love so much about the truth, because if you fill your pocket with pebbles of truth, once I started doing that about a year ago, I find myself not having to go into that pocket, those pockets, keep pulling them out and looking at them. Did they change? Are they still there? It's okay to stick my hand in there and run my fingers through them, and yes, they're there. But I don't have to waste energy and time checking and rechecking and even more checking, because the truth will never change. So I think it's really important for all of us to take a look at what it takes to live your truths. It's easy to say, not so easy to actually do on a consistent basis. And so that's kind of the thing, that's kind of the direction I wanted to go tonight. And when you think about it, it's every man or woman for him or herself in this world. And what that does is, with that mindset, it basically leaves us stranded without purpose. And if there is no true story of where we came from and why we're even here, then when you think about it, there's truly nothing that gives our life meaning or purpose. So why then is it so important, yet at the same time so very difficult, for us to share our truths consistently within our daily messages and to the masses, to the world at whole? And I believe that it's really just, it boils down to two challenges. And that is, number one, the fear of rejection. And number two, fear of being judged by others. And so what that allows, when you take those two things, you have to understand, and I'm sure you all know this, that, it's always the very things that others will judge us for. These are the things that are primarily responsible for the separating of our stories from the rest of the herd. So you can turn that negative into a positive and move yourself away from the others, so that you stand out head and shoulders above the rest. Because that is really, your truths are what make your story unique. There are many of us who have similar stories. I'm by far not the only person who has made it through 5 years in the foster system. There are people that spent less time and went through more than 22 homes. There are people that had more than 8 abusers. There are people that died and never made it out of the system. So I can't use my pit moment, which we're going to get into, as my end all to everything as far as why people should listen to me. And so I say that because when you ask people, and I always start with the first thing I ask my coaching clients, Andrea, you remember today? And it's now homework, because she had a real difficult time answering the question. And I told her, don't feel bad, because it was the very same thing that I did when I was asked that question. And it was like, what's your message? Who's your market? And everyone usually starts with, well, anyone who, all the people who, and that really doesn't work. So let's start talking about here. Let's start here and talk about how you get to that point where you understand what your truths are really all about. Okay. So the first thing that I try to share with people, as far as my process that began about a year ago, almost August, was learning the importance of cutting and pasting. That's a term that a lot of us are familiar with because of technology and whatnot, but it also applies to the life you've lived. So many people, especially those with great, great stories, and our stories, of course, will always be greater than we are. So that alone tells you how important the story and the elements within the story are, and how important it is that we keep those elements, not even as close to the truth, but they have to be the truth. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? To thine own self be true, and the truth shall set you free. We have example after example after example of how important it is to really understand how to embrace and how to use your truths to change the rest of the world. And so cutting and pasting is nothing more than summoning the courage to look over your shoulder to the life you've just lived and all the life that you've lived, because everything that you've gone through has led you to today. You're here. You're still here. And that's an important element of everything. So how do you get moving? How do you get moving? Well, it begins with, and I learned this, I've been working with Ted McGrath for a couple months now, and I really love him because his message is like a transparency, and when you lay it on top of what I feel my message is, I know that they were written at the same desk, okay? And so he talks about pit moments, and it really helped me understand a lot of the missing components. Even with the way things were moving along for me, there were still, and there still are, missing components. So that's why personal development is so important, because every day the process is what moves you forward. If I had sat here or anywhere this time last year and had predicted or written down in my journal or something that I'd be sitting here saying, hey, I got 98 paid speaking gigs. I'm going to testify before Congress. I'm going to have a column in a national magazine. I'm going to have a couple best-selling books, coaching programs, all the things that are now staples within my life. I couldn't have ever written those down as goals, because number one, I don't have control over who hires me and who doesn't. But what I do have control over is making myself something that someone would be willing to hire. And that's the process. And so the truths, when you have a pocket full of truth, it allows you to wake up every day without a bunch of dirty dishes on the table. I said to you today, Andrea, and I tell all my coaching clients this, and it's true. We hate to try to prepare a meal if the kitchen's dirty. We don't even want to bring groceries from the car if the kitchen is dirty, right? So everything that we see in our lives on the outside I believe that there's a reason we see it on the outside, like watching animals eat so you know what's safe and what isn't. The ripples in the water, the ripple effect. Everything on the outside gives me an idea of what I should be doing on the inside. My adoptive mother used to say when I wanted to just slam my bedroom door shut and not clean it up because, I had a bunch of sisters and I was the only one in my room. And I'd say, well, I'll just shut the door. And she'd go, no, you're not. Because what's going on in there tells me what's going on in here. And so it's the same sort of thing in our lives. So let's talk about the pit moment. Marcia was saying that hers was, the death of a loved one. Andrea has one. I have one. Mine was the foster system. Well, the pit moment is very important, not only in when you're in front of your audiences, but when you're breaking down the doors through to the meeting planners and the decision makers, because this is the moment where you place the listener within the palm of your hand. And I only did this once, and that was my very first speech for engaging speakers a year ago. When I left them crying. They were like, "Ah." Nobody wanted to even finish the rest of the day. They were just ready to go home and just like get under the covers. And I got I got a lot of feedback from people. Loren, you can't leave people down there. So I learned that the pit moment is just that element where you bring them into where it began for you. So mine was when I was 9, my adoptive mother died. Now, I used to say, yeah, my mom died. I ended up in the foster system. I was in there for 5 years. I went through 22 homes. It led me to this and the other. And I, ended up with a drug addiction later in life and blah, blah, blah. But once I really got into the pit moment and picked up my truths, and when I say picked them up, I mean picked them up, turned them over, looked at them, dusted them off. It allowed me to then say concisely and matter-of-factly to people, anyone, and I don't just mean my audiences. If there's 10,000 people or one person in the grocery store line, it is still an audience, because I believe that it's a blessing if you have 10,000 people and even one person leaves there a changed person. So with that mindset, it allows me to not overlook the opportunities that are in front of me during my process each and every day. Okay, I want to be known for living and speaking authentically, which means in order to get on those stages, whenever that may be, and speak authentically, I first have to live each and every day authentically. So the pit moment is where, for instance, like I gave you the example right there, how I would say it before I knew better. Now I'll take my audience, or I'll take my meeting planner directly in. Every Wednesday we went to the grocery store. This Wednesday was no different. My job was to carry the groceries in. My mom would carry a few, but she'd drop off after 1 or 2 trips, and I'd be left bringing everything from the trunk of the car. It wasn't the first trip, it wasn't the second trip, but it was the third trip to the car that changed my life forever. Because when I made that U-turn from the kitchen headed back to the car, I nearly tripped over my mother's body on the floor. 2 days later, she was gone. 1 week later, I was gone. 1 week later, I wasn't Larry Dixon, as I had been since birth. I was Loren Michaels Harris, and I was living in a house of strangers, and one of those strangers was an abuser of the worst kind. Immediately now, I can move out of my pit moment, because they get it. Okay, I don't have to grind it into them like putting a cigarette butt out on the ground, because we lead directly from the pit moment into the search. And in the search, that is, what did I leave that experience looking for? For me personally, I needed to feel like I belonged. I spent from the age of 15 when I got, even before, but I was really busy trying to stay alive in that system. But once I got out, aged out at 15, got out on my own, I spent the next all the way to 26 years old looking for validation, looking for a place where I felt I belonged, where I wasn't judged, and where I could just try to be who I thought I could always be, but I hadn't had the chance yet. And at 26, the importance of writing something down. I had a dream. that I was in an audience of a game show called Apology Accepted, where we voted as audience members on 3 different apologies, and they showed us which one of those apologies put the lives of these people back together. I was leaving the game show, and to no one in particular, I just said out loud, well, wow, what a great idea. Who came up with this? And everyone looked at me, and in one collective voice, I heard, no one, Loren, this is for you if you want it. But straight down the middle of all that unison, I heard a singular harmony. And I knew once and for all that that was the voice of whatever was greater than me, because he is about harmony. I wrote that down, apology accepted, 2 words with a little paragraph on a 3x5 card in pencil. I happened to have a People magazine sitting on my table, so I flipped to the masthead and sent it to the editor. It was 1 week to the day when he called me and said, I think you have something there. 6 weeks later, I was in their biggest selling issue. I was on 17 national talk shows, including Oprah Winfrey twice. Featured in People and 9 other magazines, Larry King Live, Regis and Kathy, Good Morning America, you name it. I thought for sure I had finally arrived and that I finally belonged. But as the news vans slowly but surely stopped coming to my apartment, my couches and my chairs became more and more empty. So now I not only was back to square one, but I was back to square one with someone else sitting beside me whose name was depression. Another pit moment, because now I was suicidal. I thought, if this doesn't do it, this didn't do it, what will? And my search began again. I thought, okay, it must be I need my biological family. That's what it is. It's blood. That's what it is. When I find them, everything will make sense. Hence, I start going off on another search. When I turned 32, I found them. But sometimes when you look for things you don't expect, you find things that you don't expect. And I found that I was the product of a rape. I found a lot of things. I learned then and there that family is based in love. It's relatives that are based in blood. Again, I looked to the left of me, and there he was sitting, Mr. Depression. But this time he brought his best friend, drug addiction. So for the next 14 years, I was off on another search. This search was just basically how to stay alive and how to get out of there. But along the way, through every pit moment, through every search, I was collecting more and more solutions. The solutions were always there, but I had to decide when it was time to use them. And for me, really, it was last August. And so you can see how what has happened to me based on each pebble of truth that I kept squirreling away in my pockets. Through the pit moments, through the years of searching, because I didn't have to worry about them changing. I had to start working on me changing, because the truth was never going to change. It was going to always be the truth. And so the search is why the pit moment even exists, in my opinion. It's what asks you, what are you needing in your life today? A lot of people they always say what they want, but what do you need? What are you needing in your life today? Okay. And where do you find what you need in your life today? So that brings us to the solutions. And the solutions are all based in how you wake up every day. The courage that you've used to look over your shoulder to the day you've just lived. Journaling, a great way to go. Because when you write things down, you automatically separate yourself from the dummies. Because that volume that turns up the talk that you're not good enough, that this isn't for you, that whatever. The best way to turn it down is by writing it down. When you write things down, you turn up the positive, you turn down the negative. Because I can flip back a week and say, that was me thinking that a week ago? Because even though I forget when the tide turns for the better, If I don't go back in and extract my truths and leave the things that weren't the truth out there, I'm going to have a pocket one day full of things that let's just say a mixed batch. It's what people who believe in the Bible call lukewarm. It's neither hot nor cold. It's what farmers say is when you put one foot on both sides of the fence, you do what down the middle? So the solutions are exactly what have brought you from point A to point B. They had to have, or you wouldn't be here. I don't know how many of you out there have ever thought about suicide, known someone who successfully completed suicide, or maybe you yourself even attempted it. I know I did, a total of 5 times from the age of 14 to 45. And to be able to sit here today and know what I know to be true, when you know you've heard a voice telling you over and over and over, throw it in, give it up, walk away. It's the thing that it's just amazing to me how everything that used to try to kill me, people pay me for today. The truth is the only thing that kept me in the game. The truth kept turning the knob, the volume knob up to faith. And it's the kind of thing right now in my life that, I wish I could just go up to people and touch them and transfer it to them. But it's unfortunately not that easy. The pain that I used to have for myself now, and believe it or not, you have it for those that don't seek, those that don't want to know. That's why people like you are so important to me, because I look and I see a mirror of like-mindedness. I see duality of mindset. And for the first time in my life, without a shadow of a doubt, I know that I'm not alone in this journey. And I think that that's what's important about the truths, and making sure that you go inside wherever you need to go and dust off your truths. So, there is a reason why they say the truth has a ring to it. It will help your message hit its mark, because your message is really like the headline of a newspaper. Extra, extra, read all about it. But a lot of people have their headlines, but they stand on the wrong corners trying to sell those papers. If your headline reads SpongeBob gets married and has a baby, you don't most likely want to try to sell that headline on Wall Street. Now, something about pork bellies or the S&P, Wall Street. But SpongeBob, you might want to position yourself across the street from Fillmore Elementary School. You'll probably sell all your papers. So your message is like a headline, and so you have to know who wants to read this. You can't just say anybody who reads a newspaper. You can't say, if it's the Boston Globe, anybody in Boston, because there's 3 or 4 papers there. Your headline has to be for the person who can benefit from every word underneath it. And so, like Andrea, you remember today I asked you, what does your market look like? Where do they live? Where do they live on social media? What have they gone through that you can help them with? Put a face on it. You really have to be able to put a face on it. And one thing I want you to remember, this isn't hard, people. It really isn't. You know why? You've already lived the hard part. When you effectively cut and paste, not worrying about leaving out this part, taking your emery board of what is politically correct or not, and trimming off the parts. Well, I'll give them this, but I'll keep this back. Because what you've done now is you're trying to sell a version of the truth, which we all know is not the truth at all. And maybe that's why, maybe, just maybe, things aren't moving along like they could be. So, how do you do that? I'll tell you how you do that. I'll tell you how I did that. It was my last botched attempt at a suicide. And it's funny because when I look at him back behind me, he's the same size, as the me I was looking at in the mirror in the bathroom, where I was all ready to slit my own wrist one night. But as luck would have it, a word that deceives, as fate would have it, the box of razors that I bought from Meyer had somehow gotten wet somewhere. Every one of them was rusty. And I was so angry because I was like, I can't use these. I'll get lockjaw. Again, I heard the voice of harmony say to me, aha, why would you worry about lockjaw if you're going to be dead? And I was so angry that he was right. My bathroom door was slammed and I had a wardrobe mirror. And I was going like this and I was going to punch the mirror, which was me, him, right there. But then I started blaming. And I was like, this is your fault, blah, blah, blah. And I heard that voice say to me, you're never going to heal with this or this. Because when I point, I'm 75% away from a fist. I still have room to hold on to whatever it is I won't let go. Why do you see those hands open back there? Because that's what I learned when he gave me that 15 minutes of fame. By doing thousands of apologies for other people, I learned the importance of letting things go, about finding the truth, facing it, owning what I didn't do right and what I could do better, celebrating the things that I did okay and should be proud of, no matter what it looks like on the outside. But most importantly, it taught me about that stuff I left in the middle of the table, the things that I wasn't willing to put a yay or nay to. I thought I could just leave them there. But every morning when I woke up, they were like gremlins. They got wet. They had multiplied. Because I have to pick them up. If they don't go here, then they must go here. This universe is based in duality. There are only two choices, the right one and the wrong one, truth or untruth. And so when people are trying to find their message, the best place to start, in my opinion, is within the life you've already lived. If you have a hard time summoning the courage to look back 15, 20, or whatever it was, whenever it was, start with yesterday. It's a start. Before you know it, you'll have a pebble of truth in your pocket. And every time you put one there, everything begins to change at warp speed. I promise you that. So now you're probably saying to yourself, well, a lot of people go, well, how do you get started? Why is it so important to get started with this thing about the truth? And I'll tell you why. It's because the how is in the healing. The how you get to millions of people is to heal your way to them. Because how can you be expected? How can you expect the creator or whatever you believe to be greater than you to entrust the healing of millions of people to you if you won't do the healing for you? So that's how I feel we should look at truth. Can you handle the truth? And I mean, not the truth from someone else's perspective, because that's usually going to be based in judgmental. It's going to be based on whatever they're serving. But if you go in, and I promise you, when you go in and you use your truths and you put them right out there, raw and uncut, I give it to the world the way God gave it to me. I didn't have the freedom to leave things that I lived in or out. I just had to live them. And so I encourage you to learn how to handle your truths. Don't apologize for the truth. Don't pussyfoot around the truth. Defend the truth. Hold it up and show people what can be. It's not people aren't going to run to hear you speak because of who you were. They're coming to hear you speak because of who you are. Because you have what they need. So, it's almost time to wrap up, and I want to open it up to you guys. So I just want to, all these things, there's always the part, and I think it's going to take me 100 years to get used to this part. There's always the pitch. And I'm not going to do it like, oh, here's this and that. And yeah, I'm just going to tell you this. If you or someone you know really wants to learn more about what's going on in my world and how it's happening, because I'll tell you, I'll show you, I'll introduce you to the people that are with me every day, like Anthony Frank, and because in order for me to keep what I have to give it away. And I want to keep what I have. I really want to keep what I have. So, I have one-on-one coaching packages. I'm not giving out prices or anything like that. If you want to know, get at me. I'll tell you. I work with everybody. Money and things like that never stop people that really want to go. So there's the online digital coaching program to show you how to get speaking gigs fast, which is the book, How to Get Speaking Gigs Fast. So order the book. You can get a Kindle version, I think, for 99 cents. And I also offer a social media 4-week coaching program that focuses on how to grow your message for the masses. The followers that I have now are, with Bathrobe Moments and all the things that are coming to me through, LinkedIn. That's how I got before Congress. That's how I got to Money Inc. And just, it was that one line within that one blog or that one post, and nothing fantastic, nothing hard, just a truth. It had a ring to it, and it hit its mark. And I want that for each and every one of you. So if you're interested in anything, or if I can help you in any way, just get at me, like I said. And we need to do this together. You hear me? If you ever watch Bathrobe Moments, you hear me say, get out there and love on everybody you can. But first, start with yourself, because this is a team effort. We cannot do it alone. And I don't want to do it alone. I don't want to do it alone ever again. Ever again. So I want to thank you all for being here. And I'm so proud to know you all. And I think that a lot of us are going to one day look back and say, wow, did we even really know what was going on? So with that, I'm going to open the unmuting, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to unmute everybody in case you have some questions or you just want to share something. So are you guys all able to hear?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. Hey, is that Jesus down there? It is. Jesus has been on my page forever. How are you, Jesus?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Good to see you. So,
Good to see you.
Are there any questions or anything that anybody would like to?
I'll just say I don't have a question as much. Well, I do. I want you to give me the name of the book again.
Oh, sure.
Because I'll download it tonight. If it's not a Kindle version, I'm probably not going to read it.
Okay,
but,
and it's on there. It's on there, Kindle. It's
okay.
how to get speaking gigs fast. Jesus has a hard copy, don't you?
Yeah, I got the hard copy. I read it 3 times already.
He's read it 3 times.
Oh, wow. But I do want to thank you for sharing your story and your truth, because it's compelling. Now, at the risk of sounding like a wisecracker, I had to clean that up. It's interesting that you who are all about the truth were called to talk to Congress. Isn't that like an oxymoron, Congress and truth?
No, not really, because I didn't, to me, it's not the people in front of you. It's the people that you get to.
Okay.
So you see what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we can't expect those people to do what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
They're where they're at because that's where they're at. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So, and it's just like, you know, I come from a background of nonprofit event planning, and that's why I was successful, because most planners thought that that was box office poison. Nobody wanted to deal with it because it had a high ratio of, you know, unsuccessful fundraisers. But it required, first thing I would do was go, if it was Meals on Wheels, and they told me, we need more money, Loren, because it's costing us $7 per meal to feed these 700 people in this county. And we have 50 or 60 people per month who are forced to eat pet food because they don't have food. And I was like, nuh-uh, where are they? And I went and met the people who ate pet food. But you know why? Because I needed to see their faces when I was trying to go to sleep every night. See, I didn't want it to turn off. And so that allowed me to get out there and beat the bushes and to really compel people to dig deep, to do whatever you can, because it's not about federal funding. It's not about state funding. It's not about anything other than neighbor to neighbor efforts. And that's how it is with influencers, you know. Yeah, you know, I mean, there are 97% of the people that are purporting to do what we're doing are.
You do it all the time.
Who is that? Somebody was there. Here's what happens. You go to, you know, every day as an influencer, people jump in and out. They jump in and out, you know. You have to hold on to your process every day. Pour into it every single day. You never know who you're sitting beside. You never know who you're standing in front or behind. And you know, a lot of people think that they're going to become an influencer, a speaker. That was your daughter. Oh, hi, Andrea. That she was apologizing. You know, you never know. Your audience is one.
Absolutely.
You know, so
absolutely.
You have to just always, I mean, people think I'm crazy sometimes because it takes me forever to get out of the grocery store. Because if I see something great about somebody, I go right up to them. Oh my God, you look great. I love those shoes. Are you really going to eat that? You know, anything. And we'll sit there and we'll talk, and the people say, you know them? No, I don't. But the thing about it is, it's just how it is. Because you know what? Whatever is in charge of this wonderful musical of life, the choreographer, the director, the producer, all one, watches what we do in small things. Because if you can do it with the person in the grocery store line, you can do it for 10,000 people at a time.
And that goes to my point. I put it in the chat earlier. It's not, well, I would beg to add on to something that you said. It is, you know, is it just our stories alone, or is it the outcome? And in most cases, the successful outcome, or at least successful enough that we're able to stand in our truth, own it, and then share it, that resonate with others.
Yes, because when you own your truth, you also own the solution.
Yes.
And it's the solutions. That's what people want. When I pick up, some of these books were given to me. This one I ordered, and I pick it up, and it's got its marks in there. Can you see? It's like a mirror, rubbing your head and patting your stomach. But anyway, I have my little marks in there because I learned when it's the truth, I don't pick it up and go page by page by page. I read. I'm led to what I need at the time. It's because everything in there is something good. And so it's all about, you have to really subscribe to personal development every day. I don't know if you guys know how Bathrobe Moments came about, but Bathrobe Moments came about because I was looking for some way to start my message on its way to my followers as quickly as possible without me having enough time to screw it up. So I asked God for something early in the morning, and 8 o'clock, I get up at 4:30 or 5. But then I found out in between 4:30 and 5 and 8, a lot of time for me to screw it up or stub my toe or the coffee pot was overflowing. And by the time it came to bathrobe moments, I was like, welcome to bathrobe moment. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I had to figure out something. So you know what? That's what led me to the looking over the shoulder at night, clearing the table of all the dirty dishes. And I said, I need to wake up to a beautiful setting every morning before my eyes open. And you know what? That's where my memes come from. I don't think them up. Nothing I am doing, I promise you, nothing except the process elements. But all of the content and all of the things that are making these things happen, it's because of allowing all of these things to come through me. And finally understanding that I don't have to fight to bring it from me.
Yeah.
And so when I needed something to get me to the 8 o'clock hour, those memes came. And now those memes are Anthony knows, he's been working with me. They're all over Instagram, outperforming any picture I could have ever put on there. And Instagram is an image oriented platform.
Absolutely.
So words, my words are right. And, you know, and a t-shirt line, we're just going into the color illustration. They're going to be out in time for the holidays, but you know, a t-shirt line with those things that I said, give me something at 5 in the morning. As soon as my eyes open. And that's the first thing I do. I go down and I type in.
You lost your sound.
Muted himself. Loren, you're muted. Wave your mouse over the screen that has the menu that shoots.
I got it.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
you're back. But here's the thing, Loren. That's what, and I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but that's exactly my point. It is all of that is part of the successful outcome, which makes you so powerful when you show up, because people resonate that you can be an overcomer of whatever life has thrown at you. You didn't choose to stay there. You didn't choose to wallow in it. You know, a lot of people want to pitch a tent, you know, and dwell in the land. Like I was having an attitude yesterday, and my daughter, with all of her sympathy, as only a millennial can show, said, did you send out invitations to that pity party? And, you know, I know if I admit to it now, then it makes it pre-med and then you're all accomplices. But I just want to know, there was almost one less millennial in the world yesterday. But when I thought about it, you know, it's like she's absolutely right. And I overcame that. And so that's another part of my truth, even though it was a minor thing that didn't last long, very different from my story, but it's your truth. It's your overcoming. It's your successfulness, being successful enough to stand on a stage and say, despite all that I have dealt with, you know, consciously, unconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally, if it can happen for me, it can happen for you.
Yes.
So
hey
it is
guys,
your.
I gotta go. I gotta
Bye,
go see my
Jesus.
daughter.
Okay.
But hey, we keep in touch because I just
Oh,
have
yeah.
her for 2 more. I have her just for 2 more weeks and a half, you know, and she's gone.
Okay, and then we're getting started. Hey, Sus, we talk every day just about one way or another on Facebook. So good. Thank you so much.
No problem, mate.
All
Yeah,
right.
have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And I've got to get ready to go too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize the conversation. I have an
No.
8 o'clock morning show call. I have to get ready for meditation. But
Okay. Oh,
I
did you
wanted
hear
to
that?
thank you.
Oh, sure.
I wanted to thank you. So I'm going to look up the book, How to Get.
Speaking gigs fast.
Okay. I will get that. I'll download it tonight. And I will see you around Facebook. But thank you for this. Thank you.
You're
for
more than
this.
welcome. Spread the word. Let us know. Let people know we're here, and we will do the same whenever you need it. You know, from your
Yes,
side.
and I promise to everybody here, all my witnesses, I will keep a decent-looking Loren Michaels Harris approved Facebook profile picture.
Please, because I wanted to say something so bad, but I was like, you finally changed it. I was like,
Well,
yeah.
I finally got a new headshot. I mean, I had to wait.
Okay.
So,
But you know, Marsha, in conclusion, I just want to tell you this. Everything you do, if you look at your message as a world of real estate, everything you build must be a Trump Tower. It must be. We cannot have red roof inns and Motel 6s lined on the same street with our stories that God has only given us. Treat it
Yes.
like the treasure it is. In everything you do, from the smallest to the largest, they're all the same. None of this, blessings, any of it, truths, none of them come in pints, quarts, and gallons. So neither can your efforts. Treat the
Yes, but
smallest
I
like
would-
you would the largest.
I would.
No, there's no yes, but. There is no yes, but.
Yes, there is.
No, there is not. There
Well,
is
I'm just
not.
going to hold. Hear me out. I'm just going to make mine a Ritz Carlton because I would not want to be.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Of that
No,
level.
I get it. I'm just.
You know what I'm
splitting hairs.
saying. You know what I'm saying. But really, look at
Yes,
all your
got
do
you.
all the give it your best, because you know what? That's what they deserve. Because
Absolutely.
that's what they deserve.
Absolutely.
And why are you holding it back? You shouldn't.
Oh, I'm not.
I know.
I just
Okay.
need more people to pay me to share it. That's all.
Well,
right.
they will.
Yes, sir.
They
Have a
will.
great-
I'm telling you, they will. And if there's anything I can do to help you, to cross promote with you, you let me know.
I appreciate it. Have a great night. I'm
You
gonna go
too.
get me one of those special, drinks. Yeah,
I know.
I like it.
Okay.
I've been sitting here drinking green tea. Okay, it's like no.
I had that yesterday. Right.
Yeah.
At Panera
All right.
Bread. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Andrea Inspires. We will talk to you soon. I will send your follow-up stuff from your very first. I still need to watch the video from your session this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrea. And Anthony, I'm going to hit you up privately.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay?
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, everybody.